All right, to start removing this door panel, I'm going to start right here at the door handle. There's this little cap here behind the door handle. You can just pop that out, and there's a Phillips head screw. Remove this. Now let's move over here. You'll have to remove this silver piece. Pull up on it. Oops, locked the door. Pull up on it. It should pop out. There we go. Set that aside. And now you can lift up on the window switch. Might need a trim tool of some sort. There we go. Straight up. Now you can unplug it. Otherwise, it'll be a little difficult to unplug it with it still connected in the door. Take that out and set it aside. And now if you look in this little pocket right here, you can remove the foam piece that covers a Phillips head screw, and then remove that screw. Okay, set that aside as well. Now you take a plastic trim tool and just go around, pop off all the push clips that hold this door panel onto the door. There we go. Once they're all off, you can feel that it wants to lift up, so go ahead and lift it up. Now let's disconnect the cables, pull it straight out of the locking point, and then slide the cable out on both. And for me down here, this light came off of the door, but usually you'd want to just unplug it. Let's peel back this vapor barrier. Be careful with the butyl tape, which is this sticky stuff here. If it gets onto your clothes, it's most likely not coming back off. So make sure that you don't get it on you. You don't need to take this off, but you do need to peel it back enough to get access to these two holes here. Okay, I'm just going to take it and peel it back and up and just stick it to somewhere on the door. That way it's out of my way. Right over here, you'll see this cap. Remove it, because that's how we're going to access the bolt that holds the window onto the regulator. And I have my window switch plugged back in with the ignition on. I'm going to bring the window up or down, whichever way you need to go, to where you can see that mounting bolt in there. That's what we need to get to. So with a 10mm, remove that bolt. Try not to drop it in the door. And then if you look to the other side, right here, there's another 10mm bolt. Remove this one as well. Now the window is off of the regulator. At this point, you have options. You can either grab it, lift it up, and tape it up here, or what I like to do is if you just tilt it sideways a little bit, you can remove the glass, set it aside very safely somewhere. Now you can work without worrying that it might fall down. Right over here is the connector for the window motor. Lift up on this little tab and unplug it. And then let's go around with a 10mm socket and remove all the bolts that are holding the regulator and the motor onto this door. So I'm going to start over here. Up here, you have to just loosen this one. You don't have to remove it all the way. Okay, set all those aside. Now you can take the regulator and the motor, lift it up. This will lift out of its hole over there, slide it down, and out through this opening. And now let's take the motor off and transfer it to the new regulator. You can do that on the back side with a little Torx head. With a T25 Torx bit, remove these three bolts. It's easiest if you have a little electric impact. Take the motor out, or I guess pull the regulator off the motor. Take the new regulator, position it approximately where it was. That way these splines have to line up with these splines. So make sure that that happens. Oh, there we go. Just fell into place. Let's reattach the three bolts. Start them by hand. You don't want these to cross thread. All right, one last thing. If you look at both of the regulators, this right here is that bolt that stays in the regulator, and you can just slide it out through the door. So I'm going to take this off and transfer it over to the new one. That way I can just slide it into the door and hang it on there. That way I don't have to hold it when I put it in. Let's take the new regulator with the motor attached to it, slide it in through this hole at the bottom, bring it up, and try to line up this bolt over here, hang it on, And now you can kind of tilt it one way or another. I like to line up the connection first, or the connector here. And once that's lined up, pretty much all the bolt holes will line up as well. And I'm going to start some of the bolts in. That way it stays in place and I don't have to hold it. And now for these over here, you want to line up those two bolt holes. Try to line up the bolts with their witness marks. Put this back over here. Now let's bring the window in. Actually, before we bring the window in, I need to lower the regulator a little bit. That way it lines up with this hole over here. So let's do the same thing. Plug in the window switch, turn on the ignition, and don't forget to plug in the window motor, otherwise it's not going to work. And I'm going to watch for the bolt hole here as I lower it. Right there. It's perfect. Now very carefully take the window and slide it down kind of at an angle first. That way it can start. Make sure it goes into the tracks on each side. There we go. Once it's in, just slide it straight down until it makes contact with the regulator. And at the bottom here, you want to make sure that it sits in front of the regulator. It'll be a little tricky for this other one because there isn't really a very good access hole. But that one's in. Now this one has to go in. Okay. There we go. Those are both in position. Let's put the two bolts in to secure it. Okay, that's tight. That's tight. Ignition on. Plug in the window switch. And it works. Okay. As you can see, it bounces back down by itself. That's because we need to do the auto relearn. So let's do that now. All right, so let's reset the memory for the auto up and down feature. So let's start by going up with the window and hold it there for 6 seconds after it closes. I know it might bounce back down, but just hold it there. All right, so let's go up for 6 seconds and hold it there. Okay, now hold the down position and then wait 1 second, release. Now hold down for 4 seconds. Okay, now go up and hold it there for a few seconds. Okay, and that should have relearned the procedure. So let's go down, back up. Looks like it works. Perfect. Let's get the door panel back on. Let's get this vapor barrier back on. Don't forget to slide your cables through the access hole here. Try to line it up to where it was. If for some reason your butyl tape doesn't stick anymore, you can just use regular tape, but it's important to have this on here. This protects moisture from getting into the cabin or on the inside of your door panel. Grab your door panel, and I like to start with the cables. So we had this top one for the lock. Slide that through and secure it into place. And do the same for the bottom. That's the door handle. Secure that into place as well, just like that. Don't forget about your courtesy light at the bottom. Don't forget about the little courtesy light at the bottom. It's kind of hard to reach. Now you want to take your door panel, make sure your wires for the window switch are going through, and then you have to hook it up and over this lip here. There we go. You'll feel it if it doesn't fall into place because it won't lock in. And now once everything is lined up, just give it a couple loving bonks to snap in all those push clips. Let's get this screw back in the little pocket here. Make sure that's nice and snug, and don't forget about the foam piece that covers it. Perfect. Let's reconnect the window switch and snap it back into place. Don't forget about this cover, trim piece, I guess. Snap that down, put in this screw, and finish it up with a little cover for the screw. Perfect. Everything works fine. All right, you're done.